All right, welcome back. It's Sunday morning. It's probably not Sunday morning when you're watching this. But anyway, we are on to the third method for solving a system of equations. And we're going to do it with elimination this time. And so eliminate means to get rid of. Okay, so elimination means we are going to get rid of one of the variables or eliminate it. And the time when it is most appropriate to use the elimination method is when we have two equations in standard form. All right, so standard form, what do I mean by that? Well, standard form is a general form that's ax plus by equals c. So the key thing with standard form is both variables are on the same side of the equation. So you can see here, I'm going to try and highlight it with a really skinny little highlighter. Both variables are on the left-hand side of the equation, and there's just a number on the right-hand side. That c is just a number. Okay, so if we look at these four different systems of equations here, we have to identify which ones would be best solved using the elimination method. And if I look at the first one, I see an x equals here. That means that that variable x is on the left side and the y is on the right side. So that's not standard form. So this one is not going to be a good one. All right, if I look at the next one, I see x minus 3y on the left-hand side, and then I see 7x plus 2y on the left-hand side. So that's a good candidate because it's in standard form. Okay, this one, well, I guess I forgot to tell you, standard form, we could write standard form backwards, and it would still be standard form. Okay, but in this case, the x and y are on the right-hand side, and that's kind of like this next example that we have here. The x and y are on the right-hand side, and the c, or the number, is on, did I say left or right? I meant right. If I said left, I meant right. The x and y are on the right-hand side. The c, or the number that's by itself with no variable, is on the left-hand side. So this one's a good candidate. And then the last two, those are in slope-intercept form, or y equals mx plus b, so they are not a good candidate for elimination. Okay? So with elimination, what we want to do is eliminate one of the variables. And there's a really simple way to do it if we see opposites in the equation. All right? And just a warning, you can see it's in all caps here. This will not always be this easy, or they will not always be this easy, as in the problems. And this is just to show you the concept of elimination, how it works, all right? In this case, what we want to look for are opposites. And you can see right here, I have a positive 4y and a negative 4y. And when I see opposites like that, I can simply draw a line underneath here. I can add these two equations together. So I'm just going to add down. 3x plus 2x is 5x. Positive 4y plus negative 4y, well, they're opposites, so they cancel each other out, right? So those two disappear. And then 96 plus negative 36, well, it's the same as 96 minus 36, right? So it'd be 60. Okay, so you can see that by having opposites and by adding the two equations together, we were able to eliminate the y. So that's why it's called elimination. And we're left with an equation now that we can solve with just one step. I just have to divide by 5. And so I end up with x is 12. Okay, so x is 12. So that's halfway to the point where we want to be, right? Because we want to have x, y for our answer. Okay, so for the x, we have 12. So I'm going to write it as 12 comma something. We're going to figure out what that something is for y in a second. And so the way we're going to do it is we're just going to take that 12 and we're going to plug it into one of these. And it doesn't matter which one we plug it into, because we're going to get the same y value no matter what. However, one of them might be easier than the other. And in this case, The second equation has a minus sign in it, and where it says minus 4y, and then it has a negative 36. And I'm not a big fan of having to deal with negatives, so I would prefer to keep things positive. And so that's why I'm going to take the first equation and plug in my 12 into it. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 12, so I have 3 times 12 plus 4y equals 96. Am I going to run out of room? I just might. I'm going to make it bigger so I can write smaller. So when I do 3 times 12, I get 36. Okay, so I just rewrite everything else like it is, plus 4y equals 96. And then I want to get the y by itself, so I start by subtracting this 36. So that allows that to cancel. So I have 4y equals 60. I think I can do it. Divide by 4. So y equals 15. So that means I can plug in my 15 here, and I have my answer. Okay, and I don't have a whole lot of space here, but I could check my answer by going up to the second equation and plugging everything in. Do I have enough space anywhere to do that? No, I don't. So we could plug the 12 and the 15 into the 2x minus 4y, and if we get negative 36, that means we have the right answer. You know, I can kind of do this in my head a little bit. 2 times 12 is 24. 4 times 15 is 60. 24 minus 60, that's negative 36. So I know that's right. All right. Next one. What do we look for? You're right, opposites. Is positive 2x and negative 2x, are they opposites? They are. The only thing that's missing from up here is the plus sign, but we don't write the plus sign if they're positive. But you can if it'll make things easier for you. So when we add these two equations together, those 2's cancel each other out, which is good. And then y is 1y, right? So we have 4y equals 28. Divide by 4. So the first part is relatively simple because we just have one step after we add the equations together. So y is 7. Okay, now, again, if I look at this, it's kind of hard to see because I've written all over that equation, right? But maybe we can erase some of it. There we go. The top equation is going to be way easier. So if we do 2x plus y equals 1, plug in the 7 for y, 2x plus 7 equals 1. Subtract the 7. 2x equals negative 6. And then if we divide by 2, x is negative 3. Okay, so here I have enough room, so I am going to check my answer. So here's what I think my answer is, negative 3, 7. And I'm just going to go to that second equation now, and I'm going to plug in negative 3, 7. So I have negative 2 times negative 3 plus 3 times 7 equals 27. All right, the first one, they're both negative, so that's going to be a positive 6. The second one, they're both positive, so that's going to be a positive 21. Then I just bring down the 27. And then if I add those two together, 27 equals 27. So that checks off. That is meaning our answer is a good one. Okay, you have 2 to try on your own. And remember, you have to enter these answers in Schoology. Therefore, the 1 and the 2 in the boxes. And when you are done, start the video again, and we'll make it a little bit harder. All right, here we go. We're going to make it a little bit harder. We're going to make it harder because sometimes we don't see opposites. There's no opposites here. There's no opposites here. But there's a relatively simple way to eliminate the x first here. And if we look at the x, I'm going to get rid of the highlighting, just the x. If I want to make opposites here, I need to make that x on the bottom equation be negative 3x. So in order to do so, I need to multiply this bottom equation by -3. Okay, so I'm just going to multiply the equation. That sounds kind of weird maybe, but when you multiply this equation by -3, we just multiply all three things there by -3. So the x is going to become -3x. The 4y is going to become -12y. And the 14 is going to become -42. Okay, so I just created opposites. All right, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cross off this equation. Actually, you know what? Let's not cross it off because that'll just get in the way. Let's do this. Let's just bring this bottom equation down here and write it underneath. So we have 3x plus 2y equals -8. Okay, now we're just going to add them together. And so when we add them together, the same thing's going to happen to the x that happened in the other examples that we did. It's going to be eliminated. So -3x, +3x, they go away. Now this is where we get a little tricky because we've got things in a weird order and we're adding them together. So -12y plus 2y. Don't say -14y. Remember, if we add a positive and a negative, the negative is going to get smaller. I mean, that's hard to say smaller because the number is going to look smaller, but it's actually not going to get smaller. But so -12 plus 2 means -10y. So that's what I meant. The 12 becomes a 10. It's still bigger than -12 though. And then I'm going to add two negatives together. So when I add two negatives, I just keep it negative and add the numbers. So -50. All right, and so again, one step now to finish this thing, -10, -10. So y is equal to 5. All right, so y is 5. And again, what I'm going to do with that 5 is I'm just going to go back up to the originals. And this is why I didn't cross that one off, if you noticed. That second equation is going to be the easier one to plug the 5 into. So I'm going to go back to that original second equation and plug the 5 in there. And when I plug that 5 in, I'm just going to replace the y with 5. So I have x plus 4 times 5 equals 14. Okay, 4 times 5 is 20. Okay, so one step, because the x is already by itself, so I just need to subtract 20. So x is -6. All right, so I have -6, 5. Now, do I have space? Of course I do. So here we go. I'm just going to plug it in to 3x plus 2y equals -8. My writing gets sloppy when I zoom out like this. I wish it didn't. So I'm going to plug in the -6 and the 5. So I have 3 times -6 plus 2 times 5 equals -8. So simplify all this. I get -18 plus 10 equals -8. Tricky one. -18 plus 10. A lot of people think -28, but don't think that way. Remember, -18. Picture a number line. We're moving to the right. So -8 equals -8. So this one checks off. I know I have the right answer. All right. In this one, you have to do on your own. It tells you solve the following system of equations using the elimination method by eliminating the x first. So figure out what you are going to have to multiply one of those equations by to eliminate the x. And when you are done, turn the video back on and we'll go over another example. All right, here we go. Another example. And we just have one more. All right, so in this case, we are going to eliminate the y first instead of the x. All right, so if I look at these two, if I think about opposites on the y's, I have a -y, I have a +5y. All I need to do is turn that first y into a -5y. It's already negative, so all I need to do is multiply by 5. And this one's maybe a little nicer because it's on top. And when I write it, I'm going to write it underneath the other one, and then I can just add those bottom two together. All right, so 5 times 2x is 10x. This one becomes negative 5y. That gives us our opposites. Ooh, and then 5 times 28. That's a big number, 140. That's okay, though. All right, no crossing off because I may want to use that top equation. Maybe not, though. Probably, well, maybe. We'll see. All right, so if I add these two equations together, so I'm only adding these two together right here. So I'll put a box around them. Add them together. 13x. The y's cancel each other out. And then 29 plus 140 is 169. Okay, you might need a calculator to do the division here. So if you divide 169 by 13, you realize it's a perfect square. So the answer is 13, because 13 times 13 is 169. All right, now let's go back up. Which one do we want to use? It doesn't matter. We can do either one. I kind of like the top one a little bit better. Even though there's a negative there, I kind of like it a little better. So let's do that one. 2 times 13 minus y equals 28. So we have 26 minus y equals 28. Well, that's weird. We're going to subtract something from 26 and get 28. We need to add something. All right, so I'm going to subtract 26. And we end up with negative y equals 2. All right, anytime we have a negative variable by itself like that, we just divide by negative 1. And we get y is negative 2. All right, so my guess for the answer here is 13, negative 2. And I'm going to check by plugging it into 3x plus 5y equals 29. Okay, so 3x, 3 times 13. 5y, 5 times negative 2. That's an ugly 5. Let's rewrite that. That's better, but not the best. Okay, so this is 39. This is negative 10. And 39 minus 10 is 29. So it checks off, and it works. All right, same thing for you here. Figure out what you need to multiply one of those equations by to eliminate the y. And when you are done, you have 4 answers to add to your assignment on Schoology.